Hello, everybody, and welcome back to East Coast Haunts. I'm MK,
And I'm Sam.
and today we're gonna be bringing you kind of a Christmassy haunt. It's like kind of Christmassy to get you in the holiday spirit. Sam,
Well,
you want to tell them where we're going today?
yes, I would love to. We are going to the historic Bethlehem Hotel in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Um,
Woo woo.
and I was gonna say, I think you're saying it's Christmassy because the name, because like Bethlehem, right, where Jesus was born,
Yes,
but also I think it's definitely a popular destination in the wintertime for those of us who live near or around Philadelphia.
that is true, and I was actually just there this past weekend, so that's what gave me the idea for this haunt because I walked into the lobby and the security guard was telling this other group about their friendly ghosts that they have there. So I was kind of like listening in, and I didn't want to be like, hey, I have a haunted podcast. Can you tell me more? But
But you
I will
did.
say, but no, I didn't. I I should have. I probably should have. But I had my sights set on the Christmas bar. So, and I did get a drink
I was
called
gonna
the
say,
Ghost.
all right, my follow-up question for you is, was the Ghost a Christmas drink or was it just like one of the drinks that they always have?
I think it was like part of their Christmas specials because it was quite the drink. I couldn't finish it. I had to split it between a few of us, but it was um vanilla vodka, Bailey's, and Frangelico, which is I believe a kind of hazelnut liqueur, and it
Oh,
was very rich, very decadent, but it was absolutely delicious. So,
that sounds really, really good. It's
I
like one of those like
recommend.
dessert martinis.
Exactly. And they also had we got a couple of their martinis between like the few of us that went. They had a pear martini which was very very yummy
Yum.
and a
Okay, good.
tiramisu martini which was also delicious.
That sounds really good. I would want to try the tiramisu martini.
It was very good. Very
Because it's sort
yummy.
of like an espresso martini, but with a little extra
Like
zhuzh. That's delicious.
cinnamon and yeah, no, it was really good and the entire bar was decorated like for Christmas. And for what it's worth, the restaurant food also looked really good because there were people like eating behind us and it looked delicious. So if you're in the Bethlehem area, you need a place to stay, need a place to eat, want to grab a quick drink, Bethlehem Hotel, baby. And you might just see a ghost too. So
Now that's a pretty good advertisement, I have to say. It kind of makes me want to go. I hope that I'm not going to be repeating too much of what you've already learned because I know there's like almost like a mini museum right in the lobby.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And it goes over the whole kind of like the history of the city itself and also the history of the hotel. So unless you have anything else to say, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a very brief overview of the history of the historic Bethlehem Hotel.
Please do. I'm dying to learn about the history of this hotel.
All right, so like we were saying, the Bethlehem Hotel or Hotel Bethlehem, I've heard both. Um, it's located in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, which is about 90 minutes, I would say, outside of Philly, depending on traffic, but it could be
Yeah,
less.
that's probably about right.
So, I would say where I went to like where you and I went to college, like in Philly, like a lot of people were from the Bethlehem area, because
Yeah.
it's kind of like a sweet spot. So, super quick overview before I get into details. The house. So, go back to 1741, right? A house was built in Bethlehem on the site of what would become the hotel, and this house was built by the Moravian Brethren. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say, but that's a that's a Protestant denomination of Christianity, and they're famous for their good hospitality. Apparently, that's just a fun fact.
Hmm.
And so they built this house on what is now the historic Hotel Bethlehem.
I just wanted to like quickly mention that it's funny that you said that like it was built on like by the Moravians because I think Moravian College is right there. So obviously there's some kind of correlation, but
Oh, you're right. Yeah, well, they were here for a while because they, um, sort of like they were trying to convert everyone in the area to, I guess, their sect
hmm,
of Protestantism. So it's like they kind of set up shop there. So I'm not surprised that there is a college there. Interesting. So,
interesting.
about 50 years after it was originally built, or after that house was originally built, the Eagle Hotel. I believe it was actually called the Golden Eagle Hotel, but we'll get into that later.
Ooh,
That was built on the site as well. And this is the spot where the historic Hotel Bethlehem would eventually be built. But right now, we're still in the 1700s, early 1800s. So I just wanted to give you an overview of like who built it, how the area got developed. So the house is built by the Moravian Brethren. About 50 years later, in that same little area where that first house was built, uh, a hotel called the Golden Eagle was built, and that Golden Eagle Hotel is in the exact same spot that the historic Hotel Bethlehem would eventually be built. And throughout the
interesting.
years, there have been so many celebrities to visit the historic Bethlehem Hotel. I don't even want to say celebrities because they're more like important world renowned figures, like some people that
Right.
everyone would know. So, like for example, Amelia Earhart, Winston
Whoa.
Churchill, the 14th Dalai Lama, Mark
Um
Twain, yeah, and also JFK.
oh,
So there have been so many people, like not even people that are just famous in American
oh.
history, but like world famous people. So which is really
So
cool.
that's so sick. In the like restaurant area, I believe there is a like collage of pictures. It's like a hall of fame almost of like all the people, like notable figures that have visited, and I was trying to see if I could like recognize any of them, but I got to be
I'm
honest,
pretty
I did not see like JFK or Amelia Earhart, or not that I recognized anyway, but those are some pretty famous people, I would say.
And there actually are some more. They are probably like hidden in there because there are a handful more that I'm going to tell you about that you would definitely know what they looked like. So we'll get into that soon.
Ooh.
But anyway, so I've given you like a very little preview. Now let's like dive into the details. Okay. So back in 1741, there were these Moravian missionaries. And like I said, they were a sect of Protestantism. Um, and they built the first house of Bethlehem. So they built the first, I don't want to say house because obviously Native Americans lived in the area before that, but the first, I guess, European, you know what I mean? Like European
Yeah, European
style.
settlement.
Yeah. So 1741, the first house was built in Bethlehem. It was a log cabin, and this really kickstarted the development of the town. And the missionaries were there, obviously, to spread the word of their Lord Jesus Christ. And they wanted to convert the local non-denominational German farmers and also the Lenape natives to their religion. So that's why they went over to the Bethlehem area in the first place. So
Gotcha.
over the next 20 years, the missionaries constructed over 50 different buildings in the heart of Bethlehem. So it really just started with this one small house, but they built it up majorly over the next 20 years. And some of the houses were even set up as businesses. So there was like a nice building where people did pottery. There was a building for like that was like a
Ooh.
tannery, a place where people would like dye, not die.
Okay, I was
Um,
like, hold on.
it was kind of like its own like little like self-sustaining town. And at
Neat.
the end of the 1700s, like the very end of the 1700s, it was 1794, they turned that first house that we were talking about into a general store, which
Okay.
they include on their website. I just thought was interesting. And then the Golden Eagle Hotel that I was telling you about before, that was built in the 1820s. So,
Okay, cool.
and it operated as a hotel for over 100 years, and nothing else of note regarding this hotel happened until 1921. So now we're fast forwarding about 100 years. It's 1921, and steel magnate Charles M. Schwab, who you may or may not have heard of, I think he's a pretty big, like a pretty well known guy. He was super, super rich, very successful. And
Charles Schwab.
he,
Yeah.
yeah, so he buys the hotel, the Golden Eagle Hotel, and he's like, okay, we're redoing this. Like, I mean, it was a very nice hotel before, but he's like, we're redoing this. He has this vision in his head of a Beaux Arts architectural masterpiece. Beaux Arts, I looked it up, and it's sort of like, it's very regal and grand. There's lots of columns, so it's like
Okay.
sort of like Greek-ish in that way, but it's very grand, very European, almost like it gave me like Paris vibes. Um,
Ooh.
so I guess so he's envisioning this sophisticated, fancy, beautiful hotel. So he's like, okay, we're redoing this hotel. He wanted to feature all the newest and fanciest amenities. He wanted there to be like the architecture to be beautiful and for people to see it on the street and really be like, wow, like that's beautiful. So he's got $1 million in stock, which I'm sure that's a lot more nowadays. And he's
Yeah.
also got
I wonder how
Bethlehem
much more.
Hotel Corporation. Um, and together with all that money and this corporation, he started construction. So it was actually finished, like fully renovated, within a year, like by 1922, which is surprising,
Wow.
right? So which leads me to think, I think maybe like, I don't think they knocked down the whole thing and redid it. I think that it was more like a lot of cosmetic stuff. I could be wrong though,
Yeah.
but the
They
impression that I
probably use they probably reuse like the bare bones, the foundation, and also just a side note for anyone who is wondering, because I definitely was, $1 million in 1921 is worth about $17.2 million today.
wow,
So this was
that was
quite a grand project.
yeah. So he definitely put a lot of money into it. And in 1922, then it debuted as the Hotel Bethlehem. And there, it was definitely a lot more impressive than any of the other hotels of the time. They had a barber shop, like specific to the hotel.
Ooh,
There was a place that you could get your shoes shined, which I know was a big thing back then.
spiffy.
There was a club room, which is essentially like a gym, like a fitness center.
Oh, neat.
And there was even a luxury goods shop that sold like cigars. I guess it would kind of be like a gift shop, but it was like very bougie, nice souvenirs.
How fun.
So, yeah, so
I'd
super
like to
quick
do some
construction.
damage in there.
Oh, I could absolutely do like I don't plan on ever smoking a cigar, but like you know that got men were going in and buying hundreds of dollars worth of cigars. Like that was the vibe.
Nah. Give me some fine goods, though. I get my Christmas shopping done for the next few years in there.
Yeah, especially with those like 1920s pricing where it was like 1 cent for like a also if you I don't know if the microphone just picked up that literal shrieking sound, but that was my dog's bark,
It's
so
a
I'm sorry.
banshee. We don't know.
That was the chupacabra, but that's for Patreons only. So um that's like that's kind of like the general idea. I didn't go into anything haunts wise, and I didn't even look up anything haunts wise, so I have no idea what is about to happen with that. But before we go to that, I just want to let you know of a couple more famous people that stayed there. Okay, you
Yes,
tell me
please
if you know
do.
who they are. I think you do.
Okay.
And
Give me a pause after each one and I'll tell you.
okay, Henry Ford,
Obviously, yes.
Thomas Edison,
The creator of the light bulb?
ding ding ding, Shirley Temple.
Oh my god! Animal crackers in my soup.
I was gonna say animal crackers in my soup. Okay, yes. Is that her most famous song? I'm sure. I guess it is.
I think so. Yeah, no, it's definitely her most favorite or famous.
Okay, okay, this is a sharp turn from Shirley Temple, but Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest
Oh yeah,
athletes
I
of all.
saw his picture. I saw
Okay,
his
yeah, I
picture.
knew I was gonna say he would be one that I feel like everyone knows what he looks like. And then
Oh, and
my
I
final
definitely
one,
also saw Shirley Temple. I saw her picture as well.
see? And then finally, my last one for you is Dwight D. Eisenhower. And there seem to have been like a good amount
Oh,
of a
Ike.
handful of presidents that stayed here.
I'm sure was a very popular with the presidential office. If it's such a grand hotel, which it's still absolutely stunning, even
Mhm.
over 100 years later. So
It's super interesting to
can't
me
say.
that there were this many like super high profile people that visited there because I feel like you would expect that of like a hotel in New York City or LA or something, or like these big hotspots. But it's like 2 hours outside, like
Yeah,
an hour and a half, 2 hours outside of Philly. Like, I mean, Lancaster. Oh my gosh, Bethlehem is a beautiful area, but it's like you wouldn't think that it would be where all these super famous important people would be like just casually traveling. But it does seem like it's a huge place for like big history figures, I guess. I don't know how better to say that, but
I guess you have to do your rounds as president. So, plus there's also a casino right nearby. Not that I know anything about that, but
I was gonna
um
say.
no. That casino has gotten none of my money. Not this weekend anyway. But um but maybe they were staying there for a nice little weekend getaway, going to see a
That's
comedy
true.
act at the
Yeah,
at
or
the
doing
Win.
it like maybe Shirley Temple had like a residency there. I mean, probably
Oh my
not, but like
god.
I don't know if she had residencies.
But
But it was like,
she definitely probably performed there. And I'm
yeah,
sure
exactly.
Muhammad Ali was there for a fight. So it's Bethlehem is not like in
Do
the
they have
middle of
fights in
nowhere either.
casinos?
Like
What's
it's
going on?
I don't know, right?
I have absolutely no. Maybe they have a stage. Maybe they would they do shows on stages like WWE. You know how it's like staged and everything.
Okay, well, now we have to look this up. Muhammad Ali fight in Bethlehem. There it is.
No,
Hold on, it just popped up.
no way.
I swear. If I typed in like BET, it was the first thing that popped up. Um the famous fight in Schuylkill County. Okay.
Oh,
It looks like he had a couple of he had a training camp in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania.
okay. So I guess this is
So I
maybe
wonder
he
if
would
that's
on the weekends make appearances and
I
whatnot.
guess so. Interesting. So, yeah, that's that's what it looks like. So he was probably there for a fight. Good for him.
I know, honestly, it
Float
makes
like
it
a
like
butterfly.
all the sting like a bee. Stay at the
There you go.
historic Bethlehem Hotel. Um.
Listen, not too shabby living quarters, so
Oh
people
yeah,
find
I know. I was looking at pictures and I was like, "This is so nice." I can see why all these
it's
famous people stayed
gorgeous.
here.
Let me tell you a little bit about the friendly ghosts that also reside in the
Ooh.
Bethlehem Hotel.
Okay, good. They're friendly.
Our first ghost that I'm going to talk about is actually really funny because she has a connection to something that I've been wanting to cover since we first started this podcast. So maybe
Ooh,
this is a sign that we should cover this soon. I'm very
let me
excited
hear it.
about this. Okay, so our first friendly ghost is May Yohe. I think I'm saying that correctly. It's Yohe, also known as Lady Frances Hope. She was actually born in the Eagle Hotel in April of 1866, and the Eagle Hotel was operated and owned by her grandfather, Caleb Yohe.
She was
And
born at the hotel.
yes, isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
So she like grew up in and around the hotel. She would perform songs and dances in the lobby to like any guest who would like stop and listen. And she was said to be so talented that the patrons who frequented the lobby like a lot and saw her doing her little song and dance would collect money, and they eventually sent her to Paris for formal operatic training. Isn't that
That's
pretty
so
cool?
sweet. That's so pure. Aw.
I know, isn't it? It makes me think of like the days that you and I would like choreograph and like stage the little cousin productions at Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we definitely, none of us were ever sent to Paris for operatic training, but you went on to major in theater in college. So it's like kind of the same thing.
It is kind of the same thing. It's so funny when you said that about like that about her performing in the lobby. I was like, that is absolutely something we would do. Like that is absolutely like when we would go on the cruise. We would go on cruise. We went on a cruise once when we were younger, and we were on the balcony. And we were like, it was like so late at night, and we were like singing. And we're like, if anyone can hear us, like, I'm sorry if we're annoying you, but we just wanted to practice, and we like thought we were gonna do this.
Ew.
But anyway, so she went to Paris with funds
So
from the regulars.
from the regs, and she returns to the States, and for the entirety of 1888 she made headlines in the news, like kept up a residency in those newspapers for both her shows and her performances on stage, and also her promiscuity. So she had like a little bit of like negative press, positive press, but you know what they say, there's no such thing as bad press. So she made quite a name for herself.
Go girl.
And a big enough name that she was invited in 1890 to perform for Prince Edward, who was the son of Queen Victoria in England.
Wow.
So,
Okay, so she was a
quite,
pretty big deal.
yeah, quite the audience she had for herself. And it was during this performance, or I guess afterwards, that she met Lord Francis Hope, who she later married, if you
Oh, so
couldn't
she
tell from the
became a
name.
lady.
And as part of like a betrothal or a wedding gift, her husband gifted her the Hope Diamond, which is what I wanted to talk about on this podcast. So, for
Whoa.
those of you who don't know, the Hope Diamond is, I believe, the largest diamond in the world. Um, but unfortunately, for everyone who's owned it, people believe that it is like it has a curse that follows it. So anyone who puts it on, and even like delivery people that have touched it, either are like unlucky in love, unlucky in life, they meet like a tragic death. But
Oh
it's
man.
like this beautiful like blue diamond, and it's on display currently at the Smithsonian Museum.
Okay,
But
I'm looking at it right.
it's 45.52 carats.
Bruh. That's yeah,
It
the small diamonds around it are like the size of like a regular ring's like main stone.
isn't that wild? Okay, I think I was incorrect about it being the largest diamond in the world, but
Oh,
it
I
is
thought
the
it
most
sounded
famous.
right to me. It's I was gonna say it's so famous. It's really pretty. I feel like it's one of those things that like if I saw it like just I don't know at a thrift shop or something and like I thought it was fake, I would be like, okay. But like if I knew it was like a real diamond, I would be like, oh my god. You know what I mean?
Isn't it? Yeah, it's, I mean, it looks fake. It's like this
Yeah, because
beautiful
it's
blue,
huge.
like deep blue diamond. It's, I saw it once in person, and I like had a brief fascination with it.
Oh, you saw it in person?
Yeah, I've been to the Smithsonian,
Oh, that's awesome.
and I saw it yeah, on display once. But it is really quite the spectacle, and I would love to do a an episode on like the history and like the curse of the Hope Diamond because
Yeah.
it's really it's really neat.
Maybe we'll do that next. I feel like that's really interesting.
That's a fun follow-up episode.
Yeah. And I mean, I've heard of it before, but I guess I never really delved into it. Also, you were right. It's the largest blue diamond to ever exist.
Okay. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Okay, cool. So not fully wrong. But
Mostly right.
so May Yohe, or now May Frances Hope, was gifted this Hope Diamond, and she later left her husband for an American soldier. So some people were saying, like, oh, maybe that's his, like, portion of the curse of the Hope Diamond. Like, obviously she left him, like,
Oh
probably cheated
yeah.
on him. Not a good time. But then she divorced this American soldier later on because he was stealing her jewelry.
Oh,
So
karma.
ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
So she was
she
also unlucky in love.
exactly. So you took the words right out of my mouth. She continued to be unlucky in love and unlucky in life. Whether or not that's the
Oh.
curse being enacted, we don't know. But so
Or if
after
that's just showbiz,
afterlife,
baby.
in the afterlife, she has returned to the place where she first discovered her love of theatrics. So she can be seen in the lobby and the third floor exercise room, and guests claim to hear her singing and playing the piano by herself, or by itself, like the piano plays itself. So they think it's
Ooh,
her.
creepy, spooky. Wait, also the fact that she's in the gym is hilarious. Like the exercise room is hilarious.
She's getting those gains.
She's working on that working on that ghostly figure.
All right, our next our next ghost has a fun nickname. His name is Francis Thomas, but
Okay.
he's known as those in the hotel that know him as Daddy. So there's a Daddy
Oh,
ghost.
go on. No, keep
I
calling
knew
him
you were gonna have something to say. Okay, Daddy was born in Württemberg, Germany in 1732, and he came to the quote unquote colonies when he was just 6 years old. So, can imagine that was quite a perilous journey. But when he arrived in the colonies, he wasted no time in looking for a source of income for the family to contribute. So, he was employed as
when
a
he was
courier.
when he was 6 years old.
I don't know if he was 6 years old, but like really, he was a young boy.
Okay. Aw.
He was the man of the house. He had to
Yeah, I
help.
was picturing him as like a
Um,
stockbroker or something.
no, in a little suit and tie. No, he was a news courier, and
Oh.
he had several near brushes with death, or several brushes,
Oh.
several close encounters with death. They it should be like noted that both of them were almost caused by a horse. So like probably don't give a 6-year-old the reins to a horse, but like that's
Yeah,
just me.
probably. Probably though.
I don't know. Again, I don't know. There's not a whole lot of information about him, so I don't know if he was 6 years old, but he
You
was
don't know
young.
what
He
the
was a young boy.
circumstances were.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're
keep
right.
yeah, that makes
But
me keep horse reins away from anyone who doesn't know how to handle horses. That's a good rule of thumb.
agreed. I kind of yeah, I would agree with that controversial parenting take. Um, but he one time was thrown from a horse and broke his neck and was
Oh
assumed to be dead. So they carried
no.
him home, and then he like woke up like nothing happened, which is pretty crazy if you think about it.
Thank
He
God they
just had a
didn't bury him alive.
I know. That's like my greatest fear, and I guess we don't really have to worry about that like nowadays as much, but like could you imagine? Ugh.
I don't want to imagine.
That's
Like
so
I could,
fair.
but I don't want to.
And this next brush with death is also one of my like niche fears. He was riding across a frozen lake on a horse. Again, not a good
What?
idea.
He
But
was on a horse on a frozen lake?
Yes, and he fell through the ice.
Natural selection at that point, I think. Like, are you kidding me?
So he did shockingly get this reputation for being like a young and reckless lad who
Did the horse
like really
die?
had no regard for safety. I have no idea.
I feel like the horse probably drowned. Like
Probably,
oh my god, that makes me so nervous.
unfortunately.
That's
I
horrible.
know. So
Continue.
again, like don't let your 6-year-old ride a horse on his own.
Especially on a frozen
We're
lake.
not talking like yeah, we're not talking pony rides. We're talking like common sense. But but he found a woman who loved him in spite of his stupidity, and
Aw.
he married Anna Grafe in 1762. And unfortunately, even though they were married for 53 years, they couldn't have any children of their own.
Aw.
So they adopted 3 children who were sent over by the Moravian missionary services,
Oh.
and these children went on to attend the Bethlehem Seminary. So
All
he was
three?
loved, he was well known. Yeah, he was well known and loved, and he actually became like a sort of tour guide to foreign guests who wandered into Bethlehem,
Oh, that's
which
so
was really
cute.
sweet. I know. And he died on April 4th, 1822, so he lived a long and happy life, and he is said to still wander the boiler room at the Hotel Bethlehem.
So it
We
kind
don't
of
know why
sounds
the
like
boiler room, but
that's interesting because the other a few weeks ago when I was in Cape May, when I was on it that trolley ghost tour, they were saying that a lot that ghosts tend to hang out in the boiler room. Isn't that weird?
that's so weird. Yeah,
But
that
I
is
couldn't ask
weird.
why. It wasn't like a big group, so I was embarrassed. I was like, I'm not going to delve into this right now, but we'll have to look it
Excuse
up.
me.
Why the boiler room? Okay, so far, okay, yeah, so these two ghosts actually do sound quite friendly so far. They both had, I mean, obviously, the first one with the Hope Diamond curse, like, but she had a pretty great life otherwise. Being
Yeah, I
soft.
mean, and even this last this last ghost that I'm gonna cover, she's funny. But like she means no harm either. So if you want like a pretty benevolent haunted place to visit, I would recommend going and staying at the Bethlehem
Yeah,
Hotel. I do
this
have to
might
say
be the.
I go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think this might be like the least scary haunt we've done. Like, it's there, they seem so like I would be fine like running into any of them. Excited even.
Yeah, no, me too. There's like one little creepy thing that happens, but I'm gonna save that for
Preppy.
I'll go over it in a little bit.
Okay.
Um, so the our last ghost that has been identified is a Mrs. Brong, and she was a former landlord. And I do just want to say, like, I don't know if any of our listeners watch Friends, but for whatever reason, like when I was writing this down, I all I could think about was like the Mrs. Chenandler Bong in that one episode of Friends.
I
Do you know what I'm
recall.
talking about?
I do, yes, I do vaguely recall.
Anyway, so her name is Mrs. Brong, Brong, and I know I definitely sound super nasally, and I kind of meant to address it in the beginning of the episode, but I'm just getting
You
over a
don't sound
cold.
nasally.
I sound nasally to myself, so my apologies. But
You're
Mrs.
forgiven.
Brong comes into play in 1833 when the Moravian Church came into possession of the hotel and terminated the current landlords only after 6 months of employment. So,
Ooh.
not a good stint for Mrs. and Mr. Brong.
Yeah, that's
But
like I'd be so pissed.
I know I would be too, but like low key, I don't know if it was for good reason. I'll let you decide. So
Oh
Mr.
no.
Brong had a little bit of a drinking problem, whereas he would go and have a drink with every single guest that entered the hotel and would become like so inebriated by the end of the night that the bartender would have to like sit him on a bench outside of the lobby. So that's
What year
probably
is this?
not a this was 1833.
I feel like that was like par for the course back then.
Probably, yeah, probably, but also that's like not a good face of your hotel, especially if you're a church.
Yeah, no,
So
that's
I would,
really bad. I'm not surprised he got the boot.
but I know, but it is kind of sad. The reason that I'm gonna leave it up to you if this was a good or not reason to terminate Mrs. Brong as well. Mrs. Brong would cause quite a shock to guests whenever they would enter the hotel because she was not fond of wearing shoes or socks, which was definitely not par for the course for that time. So she would just be walking around the lobby barefoot, and she was like a perfectly hospitable host, but she liked to have the dogs out.
Yeah, she had the dogs just out
Yes.
in a professional setting.
Yes.
She
The
was kind of like the
dogs, they were
original.
barking, you know?
She was like the original like granola girl.
Yes.
That's even more of
Okay,
a
sorry,
yes,
go
quick.
ahead.
No, 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 you go.
Quick short tangent. I was gonna say I had a fourth grade teacher back in the day, and she would always take her shoes and socks off in like the classroom and like pace back and forth in front of the class. And everyone was like, why are you doing that? We were like in fourth grade and we were like, what's the like why?
You're
But
like,
I don't like to judge people, but it is kind of weird to do that in a professional setting. Like if
yeah,
if
like if
someone
you're
came
at
over to me at my desk at work and I was like raw dogging the ground with my bare feet,
I would be concerned. Like, yeah,
yeah.
like do what you want in the comfort of your own home and stuff, but like when you're in a or like yeah, when you're like for me, like if I was a teacher specifically, like there are so many germs on the ground. Like why add to it by having your feet and like kids are gonna be like crawling on the ground. Like why are you putting your feet there? That's
I
like
don't know.
very
But
that's
I
very
do have
continue. I have nothing else to add. I honestly have nothing to add. Like that's kind of
I
gross. Like, but also like I get it. Like I know that I'm not really judging, but like the fact that it was like in the classroom. Like if my child went to that school, I'd be like, okay, like what is going on?
why? Yeah, why? Um I also just my last thing that I have to say on the subject is that I love the one thing that I really like that has come out of like TikTok and like Gen Z and like recent like vernacular is being able to use the term raw dogging as like a verb for like barefooting the grass like you or like the floor.
I'll be honest, I didn't know about it until like very, very, very recently when my little sister started using it, and I was like,
I also learned about it from my little sister.
yeah, I was like, did you just say what I think you said? And she's like, no, it's not what you think it means. And I was like, why would you? Because she like use it in front of my parents. I was like, this is not. But I don't think she knew. The issue is, I don't think she knew what the original phrase meant.
I also did not know what that phrase meant until I like I think I like had urban dictionaried it and then like I heard my little sister use that term and I was like, "What?
You're like,
Why are
did
we
you
saying
just think? I know. Like, I mean, although
so
I
maybe
do have to
this
say,
is a
it is kind of
universal
funny. Like, it's
experience.
kind of good.
Oh, it's hilarious. I did go through I've since left that phase, but I did go through a phase where I used it quite a bit.
So
But
gross.
I know it's kind of gross, but it's kind of funny. So anyway,
Mrs. Binge. What was it?
Brong,
Bong. Miss
Brong.
Brong with raw dog in it.
So guests and employees of the hotel report seeing a barefoot lady in 19th century clothing raw dogging the kitchen floor and the restaurant floor. So
Not the. She's back there cooking with her feet, like flipping the eggs
she's
with her feet.
you enter the hotel, she just like waves at you with her feet. She's like, "Hello."
And also, like the bare feet. the bare feet like contrasted with like the 19th century garb is also really funny. Oh my god, guys, you can't see, but Mary Kate just showed her raw dogs, as the kids would say. Like, that is so funny. She was definitely just like a granola girl, a hippie girl.
She would have been on Feet Finder if she was in today's day and age.
She wouldn't
Rip,
have to work at that hotel because she would be making millions on Food Finder.
rip Mrs. Brong. You would have loved Feet Finder. Anyway, anyway, so now we have like a couple of like unidentified ghosts. We have a couple
Ooh,
of unidentified ghosts, but they do seem to congregate in room 932.
okay.
And this is known among like regulars at the hotel as the room with a boo. Get it? Because it's like the
I
room
like
with a
that a lot.
view, room with a
That's very
boo.
cute.
And so this is their most requested room. And guests who stay in this room are report that they are awoken in the middle of the night by a man at the foot of the bed, and
Oh,
he shakes them awake and says, "Why are you in my room?" And then when they get up and they turn the lights on, he's gone.
he's gone. Yeah, that's really scary.
That's freaky.
Even if like I went into it knowing like, okay, like this is why I booked the room, like hopefully this guy shows up, I think I would be so dazed and confused after like just waking up that I would think it was a real person.
I agree.
That's spooky.
Yes, I know. It I don't like being woken up
Yeah.
by
Especially by a
paranormal.
man you don't know.
That would scare me.
Yeah.
Guests also report that there are mysterious reflections in the mirror that when they turn around, no one's there.
Okay.
Papers stand upright on the desk, which is crazy because
Oh,
that doesn't happen. Like
like
there's
anyway,
really very little like scientific explanation I would say for that.
it's
The
kind of a
lamps
fun one.
flash. I know it is kind of fun. Uh the bathroom wallpaper sometimes changes color. So I believe they said that it's like usually like a goldish color, and some people report it changing to like a very mottled pink.
Okay.
And then
Interesting.
also
That's so weird.
people report tons of orbs in the pictures, which typical love a
Classic.
good orb, love a good orb.
So these
And
are oh, there's more.
well, just one last little thing. So if you have
Okay.
something to say, speak now.
No.
In 2007, the hotel invited a paranormal investigator to stay in room 932, and he recorded several EVPs, which, if you need a refresher, is an electronic voice phenomenon. Uh, and they caught this voice on camera saying, quote, "It's Mary, beautiful bathroom, locked in the closet, and
Oh.
look out the window." Isn't that creepy?
Only one of those phrases is slightly ominous. That look in the closet one.
Locked in the closet.
Oh yeah, locked in the
That'd be
closet.
freaky. I'd be freaked out by that for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Interesting. Okay, so it kind of sounds as if most of these things that happen in room 932 aren't nefarious, but it does sound like there's a lot of
No,
activity.
no. Yeah, I mean, for a place with so much history, you're bound to have a couple of little ghosties out and about, but none of them are malevolent. So,
And it kind of seems like all of them are there by choice, right?
yeah. It sounds like it. Doesn't sound like any of them were trapped there.
Yeah, or like we're like
So,
traumatized by the place or anything.
exactly. So, that's why they're known as the friendly ghosts of Bethlehem Hotel or Hotel Bethlehem.
Interesting.
But I would definitely like to go there. I will say I didn't feel any sort of spooky presence when I was there, but it's possible
Maybe
that
because you weren't
I
a
just wasn't
paying,
in tune.
maybe since you weren't a paying overnight guest, the ghosts were like,
But I have
mm,
been before,
a paying overnight.
back when I didn't know.
Oh, you slept there before?
Yes, but not in room 932.
Okay.
Tragic.
Interesting.
We'll have to go back. We'll have to
Okay,
go back and
yeah.
stay in too.
I was gonna say, I
But
wonder if we just booked it for a random time in the summer, like if 932 would be open.
let's
I
do
bet it
it.
would be. Yeah.
Then we can hit the casino.
Yeah, you're making me want to go to the casino, not gonna lie. Like that kind of like for some
I'm just
reason when
kidding.
you were talking about it, I was
I
like, that
promise
kind
I'm
of
not a
seems
good
fun.
gambler.
I
No,
know,
we'll
I
have a
know.
good time.
Yeah, well, there's so much to do in Bethlehem. There's like I feel like there's like I was obviously looking at the area on Google Maps before um the episode, and it's like it's like it's not colonial, but it's like they definitely have like a lot of like old-timey buildings, old-timey. I saw something with like a horse-drawn carriage. It looks super fun to be there. So I would definitely want to stay here.
It does look fun. Or I mean, I know that it is fun because uh
Spent the weekend
I
there.
just yeah, exactly. I don't know why I lost my train of thought there. Funny
I
little
just
story before we end. This
yes.
weekend while we were at the Hotel Bethlehem, I slipped and like fell harder than I've ever slipped and fallen before. And I think a ghost may have pushed me. Who knows? It's
Yeah, because you're not clumsy. You would never fall. It was
no. I know
ghosts one of those ghosts was jealous of you, and she was like,
because I was
let me
drinking
trip.
the ghost drink.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, it was that it was that ghost. It wasn't the ghosts, it was the
And they were like,
alcohol
"Oh,
ghost.
let me teach her a lesson."
It was like
No, I promise it wasn't that one.
wait, was it
I
in front of
really am
people?
not making like a good impression of myself this episode. I'm like, yeah, casino, drinking.
Yeah, because you're talking about like one singular drink that you had and the fact that there's a casino nearby. You're like, I'm so bad.
I'm such a degenerate. That's why I have a haunted podcast.
Exactly. I was gonna say that's why we're sitting here talking about history and ghosts.
Well, before I what do you call that? When you like it's not indicate, uh
I need some context.
indict. What do you Yeah,
Oh,
it's
like
like when you like
yeah, before I implicate myself or something.
implicate, that's the word I
Yeah,
was looking
yeah,
for. Before I implicate myself any further, we should probably sign off because now we've got some research to do about the Hope Diamond.
yeah. I know. I'm really excited about this one. This one's cool because it's not even like necessarily a place that's haunted. It's a thing that's haunted. So that's cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this. And also, just a couple of things before we go. Our new Patreon series is beginning soon, and we have decided that, drumroll please, we will be doing international cryptids and like spooky legends. So chupacabras, Loch Ness monster, the Black Forest in Germany, maybe. They've got to
We
have
could
some
even like
cryptids in there.
we could revisit your favorite Jersey Devil.
You know, I would love to do that.
Yeah, right?
My
Yeah,
obsession
that's gonna be
with
really fun. I'm
the
excited.
Wendigo. I know, I'm
The
very
what?
excited for this too. What are the little I said the Wendigo. What are those little like guys in I think they're in like Massachusetts, the like puckwudgies. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh my god, I see. I'll be honest, I thought that was from Harry Potter, but hold on. Yeah,
I
Puckwudgie.
thought it
Here,
was
let's
too, but they're actually like a real
little
cryptid
wild man
up
of the
in
woods that vanishes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very
So
cool. Oh yeah,
that's
look
a
at him.
that's gonna be a really fun Patreon episode. And if you join now, you get access to all of our Halloween Horror Nights 32 stuff, all of our horror movie reviews. And also, if you don't feel like donating, if that's not in the cards for you right now, you can help us grow as a podcast by leaving a 5-star review anywhere you listen. And it would be greatly, greatly appreciated. So, till next time, we're just two ghouls creeping it real.
Yes, we are. A goodbye.
Bye.
Hey.
I almost just left the